Hello. Welcome back to, I guess now called Untitled with myself, Kendall Valenzuela, and Amanda, of course. As always, excited to have you guys back with us. Amanda, I'm excited to be back with you. I had FOMO. I thought about this show every day that I was gone on vacation, and I was ready to just do it from Japan, but I was told no. So how's it going? How you doing?
It's going great. I'm glad to have you back. I mean, I was kind of getting scared there. I have, as we'll talk about later today, things happening with the Saints. That was scary enough. And then you were gone. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I'm glad to have you back. I'm ready to really just rock and roll with these 4 quarters.
I know. I'm excited. We got a good show today because now we're into the part of the season where, like you said, we're going to talk about the Saints. We talked about the Seahawks before I left. It wasn't a bad dream, Amanda. They actually have, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling on their depth chart, and I thought it was a joke. Jake Bobo, wide receiver 3. It's my nightmare. So it's totally fine. We can go through it. But I am excited to be back, and we still don't have no show name. Jake and yourself didn't figure one out.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We didn't make it through, and it's going to be fine. I think I thought you were out on the streets of Japan figuring that out for us, but that's okay. We can go another week and we'll figure it out next week.
Perfect. All right. Well, like I said, we've got a great show planned out for everyone. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. Let's go through Did You Hear Now, presented by Bud Light. All right, Amanda, what you got for me? Did you hear, presented by Bud Light? What have you heard? Tell me everything.
Look, I don't know if you've heard, but Stefon Diggs is Drake Maye's newest weapon. I mean, look, a 3-year, $69 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. And everyone's wondering, is he healthy, Kendall? That's the big question here. So Drake Maye obviously gets an upgrade. It was needed in New England. They could afford it. But what are we feeling here? Is he healthy? Is it because they started to panic? Is it because we knew they needed help and then the dominoes started falling, right? Chris Godwin, he's in Tampa. DK Metcalf, he didn't want a long-term deal with them. So how are we feeling about Stefon Diggs?
I liked it. I saw people getting mad about the money, but they have to remember they had nearly $130 million of cap space this season coming into it. I mean, they had a ton of money to go and spend for Drake Maye. So I'm not mad about the money because I do believe there is an out after this season, this upcoming 2025 season. So if there's an out, then you can get out of it. That's fine. Yeah, the big question has to be if he's healthy. 31 years old as a receiver. We always talk about the age cliff and how, it's kind of hard to predict. Sometimes we see it and there are examples that you want to follow. But with Stefon Diggs, he's coming off of, the non-contact ACL tear that was in October. So, and what I remember, Amanda, is that he actually he looked like he was going to have a pretty decent season with CJ Stroud and the Texans. Like looked like the connection was there, looked like everything was good. So, you know me, I'm going to be the more positive one and think, all right, well, he is coming off this ACL injury, but I do believe he's going to be healthy. And again, Drake Maye needed help. And I was shocked that it took him this long. I thought they were going to be the first ones to sign someone in free agency, like going after Chris Godwin, going after maybe a T. Higgins. But I really like this because they entered this offseason, New England did, with their wide receivers and tight ends. They ranked 31st in average open score last season. So they didn't separate. They just weren't good. So get Drake Maye some help because he also showed flashes. So I think for us in fantasy football, like that's going to be pretty good. And he could be maybe that late round quarterback that isn't expensive that we can pair with Stefon Diggs. I don't hate it. What do you think?
I think that was a good Freudian slip a second ago, but I will say this, you're right in the sense that it is kind of safe. Everybody talking about this $69 million deal, but there's only $26 million guaranteed. New England, like you said, can afford it. And on top of it, they didn't have any trades that they had to give up. They didn't have any picks that they gave up. And New England was really bad last year. I mean, when we look at the stats, they were at the very bottom of the league in receiving yards. They had spent a 2nd-round pick on wide receiver the year before that didn't pay off. So at this point, whenever you don't know what's going to fall to you in the draft in the future, you have to try to get something to beef it up for Drake Maye here. And so I don't hate it. Is it risky? Yes. But at this point, it's almost like in fantasy where okay, but is it worth the risk at this point? I think it is for a guy who I think was probably on pace for his 7th consecutive 1,000-yard season last year if he hadn't gotten hurt. So I love it. And even Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski, I don't know if you saw the Dudes on Dudes podcast, but they were very into it. And all they had to say over and over again is how Stefon Diggs is really going to be good for the other wide receivers in this in this wide receiver room. And so even like Gronk said, look, he may not be that number one, but he's a solid number two. He's got big playmaking ability left, and he's going to help those other young guys in that offense hopefully kind of get the fire under their feet and get moving.
We're looking at you, Matt Collins. Not that we don't love Matt Collins, but like, come on, they couldn't have stopped right there. And we have a segment coming up of just talking about rookie landing spots. But I also I don't think they're done. I don't think they say this is Stephon Diggs and that's it. I think they can go into the draft and get another wide receiver. While the wide receiver class isn't very deep, we know that it's very much it's better for the running backs in this class, and even the tight end class is a little bit deeper. So wide receiver, not saying that they're going to get this amazing guy, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I agree. I do not think they're done either. So that's the next part of this. All right, Amanda, did you? Of course you heard, because I need your thoughts. Did you hear? Of course you did, because you're a Saints fan. Brandon Cooks re-signed with the Saints. He's what year is it? I don't even know. But what are your feelings on this? How do you like this?
I have to tell you, at first I did a double take on my phone because what year is it? And second of all, I texted my husband. I was like, hey, do you still have your Cooks jersey in the closet? And he's like, no clue. And he hadn't seen it yet. And he's like, wait, why? And I was like, oh, just wait. So he was confused. We're all confused. I don't hate it, but it does worry me a little bit because it just feels like the Saints have this propensity in that they're always doubling down on guys that they're familiar with. Mm-hmm. We see it year after year where somebody may not perform and then they bring them back. Or like this, where 10 years later, I mean, he was on the Saints in 2014 through 2016. We're literally a decade later and we're bringing him back. So it makes me a little nervous. It's a 2-year, $13 million deal, not the end of the world, but I don't know. Is Rashid Shaheed. You know how I feel about Rashid Shaheed. What does this mean for him, Kendall? Because I need you to talk me off of my metaphorical panic cliff that I'm standing at the precipice of, because I'm looking down and I'm like, what's happening here? Because why did they need to bring him in, right?
I feel like Rashid Shaheed's going to be fine. But you're looking
That's
at
all I needed.
That's it. Now we can end the episode and we're all done. No, but you're looking at a team where Alvin Kamara was one of the team's top receivers, and then Juwan Johnson, who they also brought back on a new deal. So I think this is more just insurance, because the way that your team, that the Saints went down last season, it felt like every single, it was almost just like the 49ers running back room, where it was just like every single week someone was going down. So for me, I look at this more as insurance, because it does look like, Chris Olave is going to be good to go. Hopefully he just doesn't have another concussion, because that's just been awful. Rashid Shaheed, I believe, is on track as well to just be good to go for the 2025 season. So when I look at this, I look at it more as like a cool throwback. You can bring back your jerseys, tell your husband, and then you just say, all right, well, if everyone decides to get hurt again, if the injury gods, like Ian Hartitz likes to say, kind of just strikes them down, then I guess you have someone that's familiar, at least with the organization. But yeah, I'm not drafting him.
Oh, no. I'm just not drafting him. Yeah. And look, I was looking at the stats. And so I go back and I see, okay, he had some 1,000+ yard seasons with the Saints, 2015, 2016, played with the Patriots for a year, had another 1,000+ yard season, went to the Rams for 2 seasons. One of those was 1,000+ yards, went to the Texans for 3 years. 2 of those were 1,000+ yard seasons. And then he went to the Cowboys and it kind of fell off. And so that's where I'm landing is Brandon Cooks, ceiling done, or was it just the Cowboys? And I'm hoping that it was just a Cowboys thing and we can move forward and see him do it again in New Orleans. I know the fans would love it. I'm sure they're going to have him start one of the Who Dat chants, next season. So as long as Shaheed's out there getting those 60-yard touchdowns, then I'm still happy.
You can call him up. Just be like, Rashid, what are we doing here? But I do agree with you with what you saw from the Cowboys. Like he was supposed to be that reliable wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb, and it never happened, right? Averaged 3.1 receptions, 35.2 yards per game as a Cowboy. And those were drop-offs from what we had seen in years prior. So I think that's the player that you're going to get, that we're going to get. Again, in fantasy football, if you're in a deep league, I don't know, Amanda, maybe a flex player, but you're never going to feel good about starting him. That has to be one of the deepest leagues ever, to look at Brandon Cooks and say, yeah, this is the path I want to go down. But I really do. I don't think it affects the fantasy production of Olave. I don't think it affects the fantasy production of Shaheed. Those are the 2 guys to go and get. And then maybe, insurance, but that's just, I don't know. Brandon Cooks isn't doing it for me. Sorry, Brandon Cooks. It's you.
Yeah.
It's not us.
It's him. And look, I hate to be like on this Debbie Downer kick here, but can we move on to the next one? Because it's another one that I just hate to say I'm nervous about. But did you hear, Kendall, that the Steelers don't have a quarterback? Like,
Right.
what are we doing here? We know that they have the 21st pick overall in the draft. Okay. They don't have a second round pick because of the DK Metcalf acquisition, but they have Mason Rudolph. Are we comfortable there? I mean, he played 8 games in 2024 with the Titans. He threw for 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, but also 9 interceptions. And every time that he touched the ball, their team went 2-6 overall. So I'm a little nervous. What do we think's happening here with the Steelers, Kendall?
Can you imagine being a poor Steelers fan who, like, through everything, Mike Tomlin has been able to lead them to winning seasons every single year. They make the playoffs and you shake your head. You're like, how can this team do this? And now you're waiting to hear if Aaron Rodgers wants to come be your quarterback. You're actually waiting on Aaron Rodgers right now. That would make me sick. So I do feel a little bit bad. I know that Aaron Rodgers went and had meetings with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he walked away without a deal. So I don't really know where he sits. Like, it really feels like Aaron Rodgers could retire and we wouldn't be shocked. He could wait until a team needs him. You know, during training camp, we always see a little bit of injuries that we never like, or he waits, until the season when someone eventually will go down. But with the Steelers, Amanda, I am a little bit nervous for them because, you go out and you get DK Metcalf, you have George Pickens, you now have Jaylen Warren as your top running back because Najee Harris leaves. And I think that they still go and get another running back, of course, in that backfield. But for me, I just can't imagine waiting on Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know what they're going to do in the draft either, because like you said, their draft pick right now isn't the best. Number 21, this isn't a deep draft class like for the quarterbacks. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So they'd have to move up significantly, right? To get a Cam Ward, to get a Shedeur Sanders. And then if you don't do that, then you get a project like Jackson Dart. And then you say to yourself, how can we sustain this? So it's making me nervous. But if anyone, to me, Amanda, can get through it, it's Tomlin, because he's had a winning record forever. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. And so it does, but I just don't know what they're going to do. What do you think is going to happen?
I feel like it's very strange. I mean, I know even Adam Schefter said at this point, both Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers need each other. Like, it's a very strange situation. Yeah. We know that they have an offer out there that's been lingering. They had the 6-hour-long visit. Call your doctors. Yeah. That's way too long, right? But what's happening? Is he even going to play? That's where I'm at. Every season, I get so tired of everybody hyping up Rodgers and what he's going to do. And I do think that there's something egotistical there where he just loves us talking about him. If you're going to retire, retire. If you're going to wait. But to me, leaving them having this offer out, which we've all been there in fantasy, we put our offers and we're like, hey, check your DMs. You have a trade, right? It's frustrating. And they need to know what to do. Even though they only have that 121, they don't have a second round pick. And so it really does matter. And they need to make that decision soon. So I'm kind of all out at this point. I don't know, trade up and get a new quarterback is how I feel.
I like it. Don't leave it in the hands of Aaron Rodgers, because the Giants didn't. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. They were just like, we're not going to wait on this. So I agree with you there. All right. Did you hear? Actually, I heard, Amanda, I'm going to switch this up. I heard that you were actually leading Fantasy Life, beating almost everyone in the March Madness pool, which, again, I was on vacation. I didn't get it in time. I was a day ahead. So I was like, oh, I have time for this. But seeing you beating everyone in there, I like this. I'm just going to live vicariously through you on this one.
And look, I just want to give some quick stats. I'm sixth place out of 40. It doesn't matter that I'm tied for 6 with 6 other people, because I'm tied with the one and only Matthew Barry. Both have Florida taking the whole thing down. So I got Florida and Duke in the finals. We'll see what happens. Hopefully by the time this recording airs, Florida's still in it. We'll see. But I'm feeling pretty good about it, Kendall. I am.
I will say the one thing I did see when I was on vacation is Matthew Berry talking a ton of crap at you.
Yes,
I was coming periodically in and out, and I would just see him go, Amanda, where are you at? Or like, Amanda, what's going on? And I said, oh no, you need to beat him. You need to be the big boss.
Yes, that's the best thing that came out of this March Madness pool. And I hope everyone's experiencing this in their own jobs, but it brought the boss out. He's talking smack, and it is just bringing the vibes up in the group chat. So I love it.
I love it. All right. Well, we're going to check in next week to see where you're at in the March Madness pool. But that was Did You Hear, presented by Bud Light. Okay, fantasy football fans, sure, NFL season may be long over, but next season's action is already well underway. We're talking big trades, new signings, draft order shuffles, you name it. And all this preseason NFL action is easier to enjoy with the official beer of the NFL. So get Bud Light delivered today and enjoy every season projection, every player trade, every coaching change and draft pick with the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. Stock up now for the offseason and enjoy Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
Hey, you know you're not actually allowed to drink in a beer commercial?
Since when?
You gotta wait till it's done. Oh,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, Amanda, now it's time for State of the Team. Like I said, I already got everything off my chest with the Seattle Seahawks. It was not just a nightmare that I did not wake up from. It's my real life every day, so that's totally fine. We don't have to go back there, but we do have to talk about the New York Giants because what they've been doing this offseason, I don't know. At first, right, we can start with Jameis Winston because we were excited. I remember seeing that news and I thought, perfect. Jameis Winston to the Giants, love it. Real life football, not great, right? He's not the best, but for fantasy football, totally different story for us because he has that YOLO mentality. He was going to pepper Malik Nabers with targets, and then I remember I think you put out a tweet or something, or maybe it was Ian, but that QB1 era ended like maybe 4 days later, March 21st to the 25th, because then they signed Russell Wilson. But for a slim second, we got a sliver of hope with Jameis Winston.
We did. And all I could think of, I just had these like flashbacks of Jerry Jeudy last season, right? Where I was like, oh, wow. And I could just see it in my head, that 70-yard touchdown to Jerry Jeudy, that 89-yard touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to unlock Malik Nabers. It's everything we wanted. It's here. And also we're going to have great commentary on the sidelines. But then whenever I heard that Russell Wilson signed, it's like, I don't know. I could feel the clouds. Everything got darker. I felt like I was about to give a eulogy. I found myself saying, I knew Jameis Winston once. He was on the Saints. And it was so sad. March 21st to March 25th is all we got for that excitement. And I'm sorry. We needed it. We deserved it. And I'm just bitter. I really am bitter about it. But look, Russell Wilson signed on Tuesday, a 1-year, $10.5 million guaranteed $21 million with incentives. Okay. I mean, what do we think? Upgrade from Daniel Jones, I guess. But what are the Giants doing at quarterback 2 seasons in a row now? It's like John Madden said, where you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any, right?
No, I agree. Jameis Winston, I was excited for because of just what you said, Jerry Jeudy. Like, again, real life NFL quarterback, people look at that and be like, this is gross. But for us in fantasy football, he turned Jerry Jeudy, he gave him his best season. He wasn't, a jag, and just a guy. He was the guy for Cleveland. So you look at that, and in those 12 games, I mean, Jerry Jeudy, again, produced the best season of his career. He was able to come down with 240.9 PPR points. Good for wide receiver 12, by the way. So that's how just up and down the season was last year with some wide receivers. So for Malik Nabers with Jameis Winston, I was excited. Now, I will say Russell Wilson, it was confusing. I didn't think they needed to. I thought it was going to be just fine with Jameis Winston, and then they go into the draft, get another quarterback because they're kind of right there to be in that position. But this kind of, to me, when I look at it, makes it less urgent for them to go and get another quarterback, a rookie quarterback. And we're going to talk about them here in a little bit. So Russell Wilson is going to be Russell Wilson. He's not the Russ of old, but we can still maybe get some moon balls out of him. But I will say, compared to the quarterbacks, Amanda, like you had Tim Boyle, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock. Sorry, Ian Hartitz. Drew Lock is not good. And then Daniel Jones, and he was still able to put up the rookie numbers that he did. I still believe this is somewhat of an upgrade, both of them, Jameis and Russell Wilson, somewhat of an upgrade between the 4 quarterbacks we got last year. But yeah, Russ just, I don't know. It's not as fun. I want to be in the locker room though, Amanda. That's where I want to be. I want to hear the speech from Jameis, Russell Wilson saying, whatever, Giants country, let's ride. And then getting all the pregame speeches and Tommy DeVito bringing in like chicken cutlets or whatever. That's what I need.
I mean, it is a strange And when you talk about personalities, it is strange that they're all there in one place. And again, I just keep thinking back to last season, this quarterback carousel that we went through with Malik Nabers already, with Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock. And I just like, what are we doing? If I was a Giants fan at this point, I just want consistency, because what happens if Russell Wilson comes out there and doesn't perform? Are they going to just throw in Jameis and say, hey, let's at least get some touchdowns here? I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not also that worried in the sense that Malik did do okay with those quarterbacks that we just mentioned last season. So I'm not panicked on Malik. So I'm going to ask you this, Kendall. Is Wilson an upgrade, a downgrade, or neutral for you as far as Malik Nabers goes?
I would probably.
Easy.
It's not easy. I would say a little, just the slightest of upgrades. But again, which Russell Wilson we're getting, because Russell Wilson wasn't able to start the season in Pittsburgh, right? That's where we got to see a little bit of Justin Fields, who did really well, and then Mike Tomlin decided to go back to Russell Wilson, and for a while it looked like that was going to be all right. But then those last 5 games for the Steelers, they limped into the playoffs. Russell Wilson had a I think his 36 QBR in those last final 5 games. And so it was the 4 regular season games and then the 1 playoff game. So for me, I want to say neutral, but I do have to look at Russ and Jameis Winston and think to myself, okay, it could be a little bit of an upgrade. If Russell Wilson were to go down, which again, we never want injuries to happen, but he is getting older, and we already saw it last season. Then Jameis Winston steps in, and I can hear everyone at Fantasy Life just clapping and cheering and being really excited. So I don't think Russ will necessarily bring him down, because I think Malik Nabers is just inevitable with any quarterback that he's going to have throwing him the ball, and we saw that last season. But it's going to be tough. Like, for me, my question for you is, are you drafting either of these guys? Like, we can talk best ball, we can talk, I think it's more in the best ball streets than it is in redraft, because those guys are probably going to be on the waiver wire and fine to go. But when we're trying to stack Malik Nabers or any other maybe Giants wide receiver, are you willing to take, say, well, I think it's going to be Russell Wilson, I think it's going to be Jameis? How are you going to do it?
I'm staying away from them as quarterbacks, absolutely staying away. But with Malik, I'm not nervous. Last season, 109 catches, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, again, with the most abysmal quarterback room in the league, I feel like. And so it's at least safe to have Malik. Like you said, probably an upgrade, at least in consistency, and the ceiling for Russell Wilson's higher there than Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock. So yes, I feel comfortable. However, I do have to say, as soon as I found out about Russell Wilson, because I am so excited about Malik Nabers. When I found out about him, there's a scene from White Lotus. I don't know if you watch it, Kendall, where there's the wife that says, I just don't think at this age I'm meant to live an uncomfortable life. And that's how I felt whenever Russell Wilson signed on, because I was all in on Malik Nabers. And now I'm like, why do I not want to draft him anymore? And I think that's it. I don't think at this age that I'm meant to live an uncomfortable life. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can do it. And so as much as I have no problem with anybody taking Malik, part of me just in my heart doesn't want to reward Russell that way. I don't want to take him. You know what I mean? In my home league, I get to keep him for a 3rd rounder. I'll probably do that. But I don't know. What about you? Are you no wavering, all in?
I'm all in. That's a good show, by the way. That was such a funny scene where I was just like, we can relate so much to this woman in Thailand right now. But great show. Everyone has to go check it out if you haven't. White Lotus. But I'm still drafting him. Like, to be honest, it's Malik Nabers. I didn't have enough of him last season. And so he's really the guy that I'm just like, between him, Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey, unless the Chargers decide to go out, and we're going to talk about this, go out and maybe get a rookie here to help Justin Herbert. Like, I still just want a piece of Malik Nabers, because again, it feels like he's quarterback proof from what he was able to do with DeVito, with Drew Lock last year, with Daniel Jones. So between Tim Boyle again, don't forget about Tim Boyle, but he just went through a lot last year where I think, okay, no matter who the quarterback is, he's still going to be able to put up those wide receiver 1 numbers for us in fantasy football. I think the other question now, and where it could get even crazier, because for the Giants, like they're in win now mode because they need to, or else these guys are going to get fired, I think, midseason. Like they will not make it past week 8, week 9. Brian Dable, unfortunately, in my opinion, if they just go on this losing track. So you get these 2 quarterbacks, but Amanda, they do have the 3rd pick in this year's NFL draft. So I don't know. Do you think that there's a chance that they go in and they not only have like Tommy DeVito, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, but they also draft another quarterback in this year's draft? What do you think?
I mean, I hope they do at this point. I think Peter Overzet in the newsletter, in the Fantasy Life newsletter this morning, wrote about how it's just like bubblegum stuck to, to a crack at this point. We've put Band-Aid over Band-Aid in this quarterback room. And so if I was a fan, I'm a fan, but if I was a diehard fan, I want to see something for the future. I want to see them investing in long-term here. Like you said, it's win now, but I don't hate the idea of maybe getting Sanders 103. But maybe this push for Russell Wilson means that they thought Cleveland was going to do that at 102. So that's where the fear comes in. They're probably going to go with something else. But I don't know, I'm kind of in this realm too with the Saints where what are we doing with the future? I want a future quarterback. I want the guy that I can invest. I want to get the jersey that I know I don't have to throw in the trash in 9 months. You know what I mean?
Listen, I got Sam Darnold this offseason, so I'm with you. Is that the future? Is that really what we're doing? Who knows? But I'm with you with the Giants. And again, we're gonna be going through rookies and their landing spots. But I think if one of the top two are there, which I don't think it's going to be Cam Ward, I don't think he's going to be available. But if Shedeur Sanders is there, then they take him, and if not, maybe they just punt on the position for the year. I just can't imagine this team thinking they can win though with Russell Wilson, maybe with Jameis, but Russell, I just don't know. But yeah, look at us. We're also under time. I mean, that was phenomenal. We're getting really good at this. It's fine. No producers in our ears saying, let's move on. We've got it, Matt Swing. We're gonna get moving on here. So let's keep going. I've said it for the last couple of segments, but we're on the third quarter. We're gonna do rookie landing spots. And we have, Amanda, this beautiful wheel that
the infamous wheel.
If you're watching right now, yes, it did get a little bit of a makeover because I will say about 30 minutes before this show started, my marker did not work and I was not going to go to the store to get another one. So we have names on here and I'm going to spin the wheel and we are going to pick our favorite rookie landing spots for 2025. And I saw that did you see our producer Swing sent us some, we can't pick the same team twice. He sent us some rules.
Yeah, they're giving us rules. Can't pick the same team twice. And we also both have to agree. We have to agree.
I know. It's just, whatever. We can talk about it after in our post-show meeting. But all right, so let's do this wheel here and let's see who we have. All right, I did this very fast though. Okay, can you see? I can.
Yes.
Ooh, who's that on? I'm gonna, what? This is on Cam Scatterboo, I think, because I love Cam Scatterboo, Amanda, and he is a former Sun Devil, and I want to talk about him a little bit. So I thought, let me just say this: if you don't know, I do, I do this thing with Thor, this podcast with Thor every single week. And he told me if Cam Scatterboo goes to the Minnesota Vikings that I have to get a jersey. And I kind of want that to happen. Now, I know they signed Jordan Mason, Amanda, but I just still kind of love the idea, one, of getting a Cam Scatterboo jersey with Thor Nystrom and it being from the Minnesota Vikings. But I just want him to go somewhere where I think he's going to have, be a 1-2 punch, maybe a 2B kind of situation there with Jordan Mason and that. So I think I like him going to the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think?
Okay. I was not even in the realm of thinking that direction. So I love this. I want to talk through that in just a second, but I was thinking the Broncos, and here's why. I know everybody's talking about maybe some other running backs going there, right? But I recently saw Mina Kimes talking about the Broncos, and she was saying that they're the biggest free agency winners at this point, in her opinion, because they addressed so many needs on both sides of the ball, and they don't need to draft out of desperation. And I feel like that's the key here. If you're a team coming in and you feel comfortable, you have Bo Nix, you have Cortland Sutton, you're feeling good, and you're like, okay, I could beef up my running back room, but I'm not desperate. Why not wait on somebody like Cam Scatterboo? Is that is that crazy?
I like that one more. I'm sorry, Thor, if you're watching this. I do want the jersey. I really do promise. I want that. But I do like because Javonte Williams is now gone, right? They need someone there. I don't know if they don't dip their toes twice during this NFL draft and say, all right, well, we need a couple of these guys to come in here and be able to be our guy. They already got their joker at tight end in Evan Ingram. So I like that one a lot. All right, so let's go with the Denver Broncos there. Yours was better. Mine was just selfish.
But as you're spinning, I do want to say this, that the Broncos have also been cautioned on Scatterboo. So I don't know your feelings on this because you said you love him. Have you heard this? That they are being cautioned because he has conditioning concerns. and then he
It's
gets
fine.
gassed in the fourth. So I'm just saying,
fine.
I just want to throw that in your ear.
No,
Okay.
it's fine. He's got work ethic issues as well. I'm just gonna totally. I am biased. Everyone needs to know this. I went to Arizona State, so if you want to hear bad things about Cam Scatterbo, you're not going to hear it from me. But I have I have heard that, Amanda, and it makes me a little bit worried. So it's not coming from this show, though. Let me tell you that. All right, next one. It looks like it landed on Travis Hunter, which this one is interesting, Amanda, because I have seen him mocked a ton of places, but he is the guy from Colorado who could play cornerback, he could play wide receiver, he could play both. So for fantasy football, it's really interesting right now. And I know Pete Overzet did a great job writing this in one of the newsletters saying, hey, if you're drafting him right now in best ball and he does decide, or a team does decide to play him at wide receiver more of the time, like you're going to get a steal. So for me, I'm thinking now because of the Giants, and I'm just going to kind of play this domino effect game that I think he might go to the Giants and be a good fit for the Giants because I don't think they're going to get Shador. I don't think Shador goes past the Cleveland Browns, and I don't think Cam Ward's going to be there. So again, I look at that and I say, if those two are off the board, they're going to go best player available, and that's going to be Travis Hunter, in my opinion. What do you think?
Okay, that's what I had here. And I put in bold in my notes, Giants, no doubt. Because look, they fixed the quarterback hole. I know we said it was that bubble gum and that Band-Aid on there, but they did do something to where they're not desperate. And like you said, they probably did it because they've heard whispers of what Cleveland's going to do at 102. And so I'm all with you. Go best available. And is it going to hurt Malik Nabers to have another weapon there on offense? No. But it could also help them on defense too, right? At cornerback. So I love that. I'm all in with you. We don't even have to talk through it. No disagreement there.
Look at us. Giants, look at us. It's like we're podcast hosts together. BFFs. I love it. All right. Travis Hunter going to the Giants. Let's see who we have next. No, we already did him. You know what? I actually want to talk. Where'd he go? Hang on 1 second. I just want to get your thoughts on Ashton Genty here. So we're going to pretend that this wheel, if you're listening, the wheel definitely did land on Ashton Genty. I did not have to put it over there for any of the video people watching. So sorry. But I do want to talk about Ashton Genty and see what, I want to know your favorite landing spot and see if we're in the same place here.
Okay. Do you want what I think's going to happen? I'll tell you that one first. And then before we move on, I'm going to tell you what my ideal situation would be. But I think he's going to end up with the Raiders. Look, I think all 32 teams attended his pro day. We know that he's the guy that everyone wants at this position. If the Raiders do not go McMillan, which it seems like everyone's leaning that they're going to go running back because of their needs. Look, we're going to have Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. Who's going to stop that offense? I love him with the Raiders. And before I tell you my next thought of like where I really want to see it go, I'm just going to leave it at that. Raiders. Agree or disagree?
Okay. Yeah, 100% agree. We're in lockstep here today, Amanda. It's just like we've been doing this for years. But no, I do like the Las Vegas Raiders getting Genty just because Pete Carroll is there, and Pete Carroll has built around a backfield before. Like Pete, if there's any way that Ashton Genty is on the board when they come to 6, I think that he is going to have such a hard time passing him up. I know they have other needs that they are going to address in the draft, but Ashton Genty is like one of one running backs coming into this draft. He is the guy. He is tier 1 in Dwayne McFarland's rookie supermodel. So I think Pete Carroll looks at Ashton Genty and they say, yeah, this is the guy we need to go and get. He's plus, last time I checked, plus 175 to land there. So I agree. And I actually don't hate it like from a fantasy football perspective. So I'm curious what's your ideal fantasy landing spot for him?
Oh, this isn't even fantasy landing spot, Kendall. I just got to tell you my big troll landing spot because it would just be so funny. I want the Giants to take him 103. I want them to play him for 6 seasons and then trade him to the Eagles. And the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl in 2031. Okay, that's the plan. That's the play. And it's just... time is a flat circle, you know?
That would be horrible. They'd get fired immediately if they just said, you know what, we're going to go get Ashton Genty and that's going to be it. Because here's the thing, I love Tyrone Tracy and I wrote him up as someone that I'm going to keep drafting in 2025. So if they do that, I'm going to send you a really angry message on draft night and be like, Amanda, you willed this into the universe. How could you? I have too much Tyrone Tracy going on. So I do like that one though.
But it would be so funny.
It would be funny, but not funny at the same. It would be incredible. All right, let's go with who is this? Let's go with. I do want to talk receiver. So this did land on
Okay.
Teteroa McMillan. So I do want to talk a little bit because we haven't gone through any of those receivers yet. So Teteroa McMillan out of Arizona. I think personally. So this is where I went galaxy brain and I did a full Pete Overzet here, and I thought, what could be the craziest thing that happens? And I'm thinking if Ashton Genty's off the board at 6, like we think he's going to be. I think 12th overall with the Dallas Cowboys is kind of interesting to go and get Teteroa McMillan because if Genty's gone, like I said, this is a really deep running back class. So they will have no problem kind of waiting maybe till the second round, third round. I don't know exactly where their picks are in this year's draft, but I do know they need a little bit of help for CeeDee Lamb, for Dak Prescott. So I think people are going to look at them and say, oh, they have to go get, an Omari and Hampton here just because Genty's gone, stay the course. But I actually think getting the best wide receiver in this draft out of Teteroa McMillan is kind of interesting for the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think?
I think you're kind of on the same right path as me, Kendall. We're 3 for 3 on these. So look, I had Raiders if they don't go running back, right? Which I don't see that happening, but that's a possibility there. They do have the need because Jacoby Myers is not going to be the savior for them. Jets could handle a wide receiver, right? Have somebody paired up with Garrett Wilson. However, I do think CeeDee Lamb needs some help there. And was it Thor that said that it's this class's Drake London? So I would love to see him on the Cowboys. They do need a resurgence there. It's been this strange vibe there in Dallas. And so I'm with you too. That was the team. Though I had options, I bolded the Cowboys. So we're lockstep.
Look at us. All right, let's try and get one more done. Is there anyone that you want to talk about specifically that I can stop this wheel on?
I want to talk about Tyler Warren.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Rookie tight end.
The wheel listened to you. We landed on Tyler Warren. All right, because you're in tight end land. You can't stop drafting rookie tight ends. So I'm really excited to hear where you think he should land.
Yes. Well, so here's the weirdest part. I think the Jets could use a tight end. I think that would be great. I would love to see Justin Fields with Tyler Warren. The Colts could use tight end, right? That would make Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, whoever it may be, look better. But I have to say, and this is crazy, and I don't think there's much truth to it because the Saints just re-signed Juwan Johnson for a huge contract. But I did see somebody saying the Saints at 109. And the only reason I like it is I know it doesn't make any sense. But could you imagine the jerseys I would have if it was a rookie tight end, Tyler Warren, and on my home team? I mean, Rashid Shaheed, I'd have to make room because more than those 3, I'd probably have 5 Tyler Warren jerseys at that point. But yeah, I think I want to see him on the Colts. I want to see him on the Jets is really where I want him to go.
If he went to the Saints, you'd have to buy another 3 jerseys, and then we'd have to follow him to the Super Bowl that hopefully that he's going to be at and say, hey, can you sign these? Can you get on the show and then sign all of these? Like, it's just going to have to happen. But I'm with you on the Colts. Like, I think not everyone, but I've seen a ton of mocks where it's just always been the Colts getting him and trying to help him out because, and by the way, cannot believe that we're talking about, Anthony Richardson in a quarterback competition, but that's in the year 2025, that's just nuts. But they need a lot of help. I found this stat that they had the second fewest receiving yards from tight ends of any team last season. They only had 467 yards out of their tight end room. So getting someone, and with the Colts, by the way, the Colts need to draft someone that's going to help them win now. They haven't done that in a really long time, and they need to focus on someone that's really going to help them win. They need to come away from this draft with someone that's going to immediately impact this team. And to me, that's going to be Tyler Warren for them, helping out whoever their quarterback may be, but just get more help in there. So I think, I believe 14th overall pick. Let's send Tyler Warren to the Colts. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, and if they miss out on Tyler Warren for whatever reason, Colston Loveland's just as good.
Yep.
Both tight ends very highly ranked in Dwayne McFarland's rookie supermodel. So I love either one for the Colts, really. I think they can't go wrong there.
All right. I like it. Look at us. Below time again. We don't have to be booted off like at the Oscars. We're ready to go. It's like we know what we're doing here. Let's get into our last one, or I should say our fourth quarter here, which is, I'm going to let you take the lead on this because it's called the lesser of 3 evils. And I don't know how we got to this point, but I'm really excited for this quarter.
Oh, look, we got 4 evils, but I'm going to bring you the first theme, Kendall, here is draft strategies. And so you have to pick the lesser of these 3 draft strategies. First, you got to imagine you're going 0 RB and James Conner is your RB1. Okay. Your next strategy, you're doing the opposite. You're going heavy running back the whole draft. So your wide receiver 1 is Devontae Adams. Or you're really going to just punt tight end and you're going to go Kyle Pitts as your TE1. I know what I want to pick and I want to talk through it. But first, off the cuff, what strategy here? 0 RB with James Conner, RB heavy with Devontae Adams, or just punt TE and go with Kyle Pitts?
Okay, so I'm picking the one that I would rather do, right? That's the thing here. Okay,
the lesser of these 3 evils.
I go 0 RB because that's what I do 98% of the time. And James Conner is my RB1. I do not hate that. I think I had a draft a couple days ago where this was my actual reality. So to think this is one of the evils makes me question my life a little bit. But I do not hate James Conner. Every single season seems like he gets, a little bit pushed back just because of, the injuries. Of course, that's something that we have to keep an eye on, and he gets older. But it feels like the Arizona Cardinals love James Conner and that he is still going to be their guy for them. There's been no indication that he's really slowing down. Again, we do have to watch out for the injuries, and Trey Benson is always going to be behind him, like waiting in the wings. But I just think James Conner is good. And I think for 0 RB, if he's my RB1, I'm okay with that. I don't think that's evil at all.
Look, last year in my home league, you can't make this up. That's exactly what I did. I went 0 RB. Yeah. I had James Conner. He had 6 top 10 running back finishes that season. Last year, he only had 5 games, which I know it hurt those 5, but he only had 5 games with single digit fantasy points. And look, the only problem when you go this route and the 0 RBers, y'all know, y'all have lived it, it hurts, but you got to end up going out there like I did last season and hoping that Justice Hill or Roshan Johnson or Tank Bigsby or Cam Akers can save the day at your RB2 slot. That's the risk you're going to take, but I don't hate it either. My thing here with Devontae Adams is my wide receiver 1. If I go RB heavy, the reason I can't do it, Kendall, is because I'm going to be drafting Puka. I'm sorry. I'm all Puka. And so I just don't know that I could pivot and go Devontae Adams there. It's not the end of the world, but I'm a Puka girl. So sorry, that's not it. And then Kyle Pitts. Come on, Kendall.
Stop. We can't keep doing this. Like it's every single year. We can't keep doing this every single year. I still think like obviously free agency is winding down, but there was this thought in the back of my mind where if he was traded, like let's say, I know that it's not going to happen now because the Bengals already kind of have their tight end room solidified, but I was like, what if he gets traded to the Bengals, right? And then we just start all over again with Kyle Pitts and we say, well, now he's with Joe Burrow. He's in a new environment. The team's going to love him. And I was like, I can't start this cycle again with Kyle Pitts. I can't do it. I am not allowing myself. I drafted him last year in just a few leagues, but even in those leagues, Amanda, I woke up nightmares every single night because I knew that Kyle Pitts was my tight end. I cannot do that anymore. 0% is what I'm going to try and have of Kyle Pitts this year.
All right, Kendall, our next lesser of 3 evils here. We have weird league rules, okay? So the first one, shout out to YRZ Fantasy on Twitter, but their proposal for a weird league rule is 100 points per tackle made by quarterback. Okay. I know. Crazy. The next comes from Ian Hardett's Wife's Work League, where your league does half a point per passing yard. And then the third is you are required to start 2 kickers, Kendall. So what are you going with on these? The tackle 100 point bonus?
I think I like the tackle 100-point bonus. I think that's pretty fun because then, again, we already just had this conversation of Jameis Winston just throwing interceptions like it's his job. And then I can see myself being like, well, at least I have Jameis Winston as my quarterback because when he throws, a pick 6 or whatever, at least I can hope that he's going to go and tackle one of them, give me 100 points for the week, and then I'll walk out of there with a win. So I think I have to do that. I can't believe Ian's wife is actually in a league where they do half points per passing yard. That's crazy.
Yes. But I will say this. I have to disagree with you. I know we've been like in lockstep all this whole show, but my thing is I feel like you still need a thin veil of like predictability and control, even though fantasy is so random. So the tackles is too much for me. I like the half point passing yards. And here's why. You get a Sam Darnold bump. You get a Geno Smith bump. Baker, Goff, and Burrow are starting to get now the love that they deserve. The only thing I hate about it is Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are going to fall in the drafts if you do that. But that's my pick. And I can't do 2 kickers. I'm sorry. I love kickers. I will keep my 1 kicker, but 2, Come on. I already have people in my league that are rostering 2 in a 1 kicker league. It's too much.
What?
Too much.
What are they doing? Why? What? That's crazy.
All right, moving on, Kendall. We have another one. This is going to be a little more painful. We're talking super flex, and it's what we're going to do with Russell Wilson. Okay, here's your 3 scenarios, your evil scenarios. Russell Wilson is your QB1 in a super flex. Russell Wilson is your only quarterback in super flex, or you don't draft a quarterback at all in super flex.
What? These are horrible. I hate them all.
Dirty.
Do I have to pick one? I have to pick one. Oh my gosh. All right. So this is awful. I can't have him. Well, I can't have him be my only quarterback in Superflex. So that's the only thing I'm thinking, because I'll just lose. Like, there's just no way around that. If he's my only one, he goes down with an injury, I'm screwed. You don't draft any quarterback in Superflex. It's the same thing. So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, say Russell Wilson is my QB1 in Superflex. And I'm trying to think of quarterbacks that are going to be going after him in super flex leagues. And I might be drafting like a Jameis Winston and just thinking, okay, well, if he goes down, I'll get him, or an Aaron Rodgers or something really bad. But that's probably what I have to do. It's fine.
Yeah. Ugh. This is like the definition of your back is up against the wall at this point, because you can't go no quarterback. You just can't. There's no in Superflex, that's not even an option. So it really just comes to, is he your only quarterback, I guess? Or is he your QB1? I mean, at this point, yeah, do you have like a Russell Wilson and Derek Carr combo? I mean, it hurts, but maybe you could swing that. It's painful. I don't love it. Let's just kind of,
it's horrible.
You ready?
Yeah,
don't.
This
one hurts too much.
Yeah, please. That was gross. Will Levis. Oh my God, so bad. All right, what's the next one?
Oh God, Russell Wilson and Tim Boyle. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, here's our last one, and this one has to do with which of these awful scenarios would you rather have? One, you can't log into Netflix ever again until the Giants win a Super Bowl. Okay.
Oh God.
2,
Forever.
for some reason, Tommy DeVito is your neighbor and you have to make his bed every morning. 3, you will never win another fantasy championship again. Or 4, our producer's favorite, every blade of grass screams when you mow your lawn. Which one of these, the lesser of these 4?
Oh, I love Netflix. I want to be able to watch it in the next 25 years. No offense, Giants fans, but I really do like, some of those Netflix original movies. They're so good. So I can't do that one. Thinking about making Tommy DeVito's bed every morning, because he's still in his mom's basement, like then I have to see the whole family, and that just gets a little bit weird. Like, no, I don't want a cup of coffee. I just have to come in here and make Tommy DeVito's bed. Like, I don't want to do that. I can't pick you never win another fantasy championship again, because that would just be depressing and sad. And that would be too hard for me. So I will say this is a workaround for me. I do not have a lawn in 2025 in this economy. I do not have a lawn. So I will pick every blade of grass screams when you mow your lawn. And hopefully in a few years, I can come back to you on this and say, yeah, this one sucked to pick, but right now I have no lawn. So I'm going to do that one. What are you doing?
This explains why we disagree on this one, because we have a pretty big yard down here with the swamps and mosquitoes. You can get land for pretty cheap. Okay. So I can't go the grass. I just can't do it. I'm not making his bed. I don't think his own mother should be making Tommy DeVito's bed. And I agree with you on the Netflix. Here's my only stipulation. I'm okay never winning another fantasy championship again, because it's not all about winning for me. However, I just can't know that that's the case. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go into every season knowing I'm going to lose. I have to have that glimmer of hope, because that's how it's been going in my home league for about the last 8 years anyways. So as long as no one tells me that I will never win again, I'm all in. I can handle losing. So
okay.
I think
all right.
I'm
Blissfully unaware. All right. I like that. Blissfully unaware that you're never going to win again, because it's true. I've done that in some leagues now for a few years anyway. So what's another lifetime to go? So I like that one. All right. That was our fourth quarter. So you know what that means. It is overtime. And Amanda, this is one where finally, because I put you on the spot too much, Matt Swing gave you horrible descriptions of movies that are supposed to be sports movies, and it was Cars for like 3 weeks in a row. So it's your turn to do overtime. So let's get into it. What do you got for me?
All right. This overtime is called Who Said It? And your 3 choices are Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, or Michael Scott from The Office. And I promise you, I did not sneak in any quotes from Cars. Okay. I swear. So Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Michael Scott. Are you ready? You're familiar with The Office, right?
Oh yeah. Love The Office. Okay. I'm familiar. I like
All
this.
right. Let's just get started. And I just need you to trust your gut with these. Okay, Kendall?
Okay.
So the first quote is, there's a white boy from Detroit, and I really admire him, named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow it.
Oh my gosh.
Jameis Winston.
Is that Michael?
Russell
is
Wilson.
that Michael Scott? I have to say Michael
Jameis
Scott on that.
Winston.
What?
Jameis Winston all the way.
I can't believe this is going to be so good. The things that these guys all say are just, okay, all right. So I'm 0-1. That's fine.
That's okay.
Fine. Oh
all right,
gosh,
you ready for the next one?
When did he say that? Was it a pregame speech?
You know, I don't have the context for these, but it could have been anywhere, anytime. Knowing Jameis,
So
it was probably right before. It might have been in the huddle. He was probably saying it in the huddle. All right, next one for you. I'm a big pasta guy. I'm a big pasta guy. That could be. So Russ does Subway, but I'm thinking this might be Russ because he does. Oh, maybe it's Michael Scott. See, I can't pick Michael Scott for all of them, so I'm going to say Russell Wilson on this one. All right, producers, let's pretend we have a ding, ding, ding because she got it.
Yes.
We're 1 for 1 now. Okay.
Perfect.
Russell Wilson, big pasta guy. Maybe it was before the signing with Subway. Yeah.
I was going to say, now he's a Subway guy, but feels like something he would say in Seattle.
All right. Next one. I would say I have an unfair advantage because I watch reality dating shows like a hawk, and I absorb information from the strategies of the winners and the losers. Actually, I probably learn more from the losers.
That sounds like something Jameis Winston would say. Was it Jameis?
It was Michael Scott, but I don't blame you one
Dang
bit.
What? I don't even remember that episode. I didn't even think they did like dating shows during that show. Dang it. Okay.
The craziest part is how almost any of these three could say it. Definitely Jameis or Michael Scott. Almost any of them. Okay, ready for the next one?
This is so good. Yes, of course.
I hope this one inspires you, actually. You can't say the sky's the limit when people are on the moon, Kendall. You can't say the sky's the limit when people are on the moon.
Oh my gosh.
Winston,
any three
Russell
of these,
Wilson, Michael
three
Scott.
of these guys could say that. That seems super motivational, though. And sometimes Russ likes a motivational quote to get the guys going. I'm going to say Russell Wilson on that one, but I'm not confident.
Good, because it was Jameis. It was Jameis Winston.
Oh my gosh, this is so. Any of these, I just think Russ. He gets all emotional, which is great. He loves a pregame speech, and then, yeah, I thought he could say that one. All right, that's fine. We've got one.
All right, we've got it. Okay, you ready? Fool me once, strike one, but fool me twice, strike three.
Okay, Michael Scott, right?
Okay,
Michael Scott?
Okay, yes. Michael Scott, all right.
Okay, two, we got him.
But you could see Jameis saying that, right?
Oh, 1,000%. I could see any of them. This is just incredible. This is incredible for the podcast. This is incredible for everyone watching on YouTube. This is great.
Okay, do we still have some time for some more producers? I'm going to go in.
Yeah,
let's do
one more.
Okay. There's some NSYNC and Backstreet Boys on my iPod. I listen to it if it comes on shuffle. Which this could be me, actually. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was going to say this is also me. It makes me think of the Michael Scott episode where he's driving into, I think, either Lady Gaga or Britney Spears in the car with the top down with the sunglasses. But I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go again. I'm going to go Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Was it Russ?
There you go. Lock it in. Russell Wilson.
Perfect. That was difficult.
Okay,
that was way more difficult than I thought it would be.
It's really this was the most fun thing I've ever had to do, just finding quotes and being like, could Michael Scott have said it? Absolutely. Could James? Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I got three of them right out of, don't tell me how many. I think there was 8. So that's totally fine here. But appreciate it, Amanda. I'm so glad to be back with you. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us today here. Untitled podcast with Kendall and Amanda. Make sure you go to fantasylife.com. All of those mock drafts that we talked about, everything that you need for the NFL draft coming up, less than a month away. You can get those articles 100% free at fantasylife.com, including Dwayne McFarland's rookie supermodel. We'll be back next time.